Alright my dudes, it's time to answer a very serious question. Were Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon worthy games? You see, when these games came out, there was a lot of negativity that surfaced on social media. People were calling it unworthy, saying that it was cash grabs because it was too much like Sun and Moon. So I wanted to hear what you guys actually thought about the game, so I put out this Twitter poll. And in this poll, you guys could vote your own review, and over 3,000 of you guys voted. You could vote 5 out of 5, 4 out of 5, 3 out of 5, or 2 out of 5. And if you see these results, 45% of you people voted 4 out of 5 stars, and the second most is 5 out of 5. Now, with all the negativity you hear about Ultra Sun and Moon, you would think that the reviews would be a lot different than what it is, but you'll see over 70% of the reviews are 4 or 5 stars. And of course, there's a bunch of comments about all the problems in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon, but I'm gonna address the real problem that Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon has, because there is one, and I think it messed with the way people were meant to experience the game. Think to yourself, what do you think is the problem? By the way, you guys can vote your own rating for this game if you want. There should be like an I in the corner, and you can vote yourself 5, 4, 3, or 2 stars. Listen, I'm gonna tell you guys directly. I think the main issue was presentation. Dude, you said what? You see, back in X and Y days, when Z was wanted, if we just got X and Y the way it is, but instead Zygarde intervenes at the Team Flare hideout when Xerneas and Yveltal is summoned and calms the two down, and that is literally all, along with some version exclusive encounters like a few Kanto Pokemon available, it would be enjoyed. It would be spot on to what it should be. I see people complaining all the time that this is 2017, and even though we wanted Z 2 years ago, things have changed and we don't like sister games anymore, but that's not exactly it. A sister game has always been something interesting and accepted in Pokemon, and people would have liked it for what it is. If a Pokemon Z came out and you bought it, you would enjoy it for being an upgraded version of Pokemon X and Y. Now let's go back to Ultra Sun and Moon. The first problem, and the biggest problem of them all, comes in its title. Let me say this, it should be a little obvious that this was intended to be Pokemon Stars, but it was split into 2 games, which during that Gamefreak meeting initially may not have seemed like a bad idea, but the names Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, it takes people back to the Black and White 2 days and instantly sets their expectations for more expansion. Listen, if it was called Pokemon Stars, 40% of these reviews would be better, just because of the attitude you have playing the game. But I mean, what else would you have named it? Pokemon Lunar Moon and Solar Sun? They sound like remakes. Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon? They sound like sequels. That's the problem. And until it was confirmed, most of us thought it was a sequel too. This is the truth. This is exactly how Pokemon Stars should have been. What we got in Ultra Sun and Moon is spot on. In fact, it was quite perfect. It was exactly like Platinum, and that's excluding the post game. The climax starts off differently, and instead of the mascots, the focus turns to Giratina or Necrozma, and then just like the Distortion world, you're brought into the Ultra Megalopolis. Now, I know it's true. The term wasted potential. People will complain that they could have done more. The Distortion world was a one-time thing, and so was the Ultra Megalopolis, but people say that it's wasted potential, that there's literally nothing else to do there, which I guess I'll agree. I can't even fight with that. The Distortion world, even if one time, was explorable and there was a puzzle. I think at the least, if there was a puzzle in the Ultra Megalopolis, something to surprise us after seeing it a lot of times in trailers, it would fix that problem. I'm not sure what Gamefreak was thinking, especially when some of the other Ultra Spaces actually had a puzzle, but it's okay, I'll let it slide, because unlike Platinum, Ultra Sun and Moon gave us this new post-game episode. But you could think of a lot of things when it comes to Ultra Megalopolis, and it sort of being like Necrozma's Ultra Space, and what puzzle you could have incorporated. They could have easily came up with some sort of prism puzzle that you gotta do that stalls you in the Ultra Megalopolis for like a good hour, just like the Distortion World puzzle. It could be you walking down some dark path, you need Soglin Lunala's help to light it up, maybe a prism that you gotta separate into 7 colors and go grab these 7 items, and then you can go fight Ultra Necrozma. But of course not as plain sounding as that, something that kept you engaged, that used the 3DS graphics to the max, just like going sideways and upside down and down a waterfall in the Distortion world. Something that when you think of Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon makes you instantly think of Ultra Megalopolis. So those two were the biggest problems with Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. You could see that there isn't actually much wrong with these games, and that's because if they were to combine it and turn it into a Pokemon Stars, this is the game that should have been made. I wouldn't make any changes to it. It's just the fact that they split it into two. Because there's some things in Pokemon that just have the Pokemon feel. The sister game was always supposed to sit on top of the two previous versions as an upgraded version. It's supposed to be a perfect triangle. And Pokemon Stars sounds exactly like that. And if you think of this as Stars, it looks exactly like that. And we've accepted those follow-up games to be like that. But the moment it was split into two, and you made this square, it takes people back to Black 2 and White 2. It doesn't work the same way, the way we've been used to sister games in the past. It's like the Phantom Pokemon Z example. After X and Y, they could have given us Z, and it would have worked out the way it should have. But if they wanted to split it into two and make XZ and YZ, where there's like a version exclusive Zygarde form, it would have been a major difference. It wouldn't have felt like a sister game, and people would have expected some sort of sequel material in it, even if it wasn't promised at all, just because of the way it's named. That's like a core thing in follow-up games. Emerald is the upgraded version of Ruby and Sapphire. Platinum is the upgraded version of Diamond and Pearl. Stars as the upgraded version of Sun and Moon. The biggest problem just points back to the name, splitting it into two versions, calling it Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon instead of the bigger stars, which is how sister games worked. And I don't know whether to blame them or not for doing it, because their reasoning has to be that these are the final 3DS games, and I guess they felt a bit weak just putting out one bigger version, and to go out with a bang, they wanted to split into two and have these covers as the last games in this 3DS box before they move up to the Switch. You see, the way people play Platinum is they tried to look out for each of the smaller differences, seeing what was upgraded and what was changed. You know, small pieces of dialogue, maybe one Pokemon different on the team. They weren't expecting expansion and the plot to take off in a different direction. And that comes in the fact that it's one upgraded sister game version. When it's two games, just throughout the entirety of you playing the game, you're gonna expect so much more, even if it wasn't promised to you at all. If this game was called Stars, you would play it exactly in that perspective again. You wouldn't be looking for different plot points, you'd just be looking for small things that were changed. And then you'd look at like the Heya Beach introduced, and the surfers, and the Mantine surf and all, and it really feels like Platinum improvements, as opposed to us being disappointed by them because we're expecting Black 2 and White 2 sequel expansion, which is not what they promised, but it's just in the name Ultra Sun and Moon. It makes us expect that. They made the perfect games to follow up on Sun and Moon, but their last minute decision to split it from one bigger stars into a two Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon thing is what screwed people's expectations over. So that is the problem with Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. As you can see, there isn't really a problem with the games. It's in its presentation. It's their freaking marketing team who decided to split it into two. The games were spot on for what Stars should have been. And I hope Gamefreak learned their lesson about what that sister game really is. There's so much to it when you make it one bigger game that puts everything together, instead of splitting it into two and all. I understand you wanted to go out with the bang and all, but there really is certain things in Pokemon, in the way you've done things, that have to stay the same way because of more things that they matter for than you can initially tell. I hope most of that made sense. But anyways, guys, there should be an eye somewhere on screen. Vote your review for Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Be totally honest. Be reasonable though. Put your honest review, and also if you want, put an in-depth comment about the game in the comments below. And also let me know, I don't know if you guys can envision it, but how differently would you have enjoyed the game if it was called One Bigger Stars, and you see it on the freaking EB game shelf, you pick it up, you take it home, and you feel like you have the platinum of Sun and Moon in your hands. Like I said earlier, if it was called Stars, you'd be playing it expecting small differences, and then something like the Necrozma climax would seriously blow you away, just like the Distortion World did. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed the video or you agree with anything I said, and also feel free to share this video with someone who didn't like Ultra Sun and Moon. As always, guys, I'll see you on the next video. Peace.